Hey man, can you go take out the trash? No, dude, it's your date. I'll give you brownies. Brownies?
Hello everybody, and I think that's how I'm going to start my videos from now on. Just a little joke video to get people engaged and just to kind of start the video off with light spirits, because we're going to be going pretty low this video. So the alt-right has become a topic as of late, and so I saw this video on my Facebook feed, and I watched it, and I thought it's pretty interesting. But I actually found myself kind of agreeing with some points and disagreeing with some other points, and so I thought we just might take the time to go through this speech, which I'm sure many people dismissed as disgusting, gross, and horrible, and actually analyze the parts that at least made sense to me and didn't really seem all that bad. And then, of course, I mean, it's the alt-right, so we'll get to the parts that I didn't like and I thought were absolutely horrible. So here we go. This is from The Atlantic, so just going to dive right into it.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
Alright, so right off the bat, we've got Hail Trump, Hail our victory, Hail our freedom, right? So for many, the election of Trump was a victory. It was a victory for Republicans, largely a victory for conservatives, kind of a victory for libertarians, and it was definitely a victory for the alt-right. Trump had been the alt-right had been kind of a thing in this election, and Trump winning was just kind of, it's what the alt-right wanted. It's what pretty much everybody on the right wanted to a degree, I think. Most people, sorry, not everybody. Hashtag not all. But it's, he says hail, and it's just, why you gotta go doing that, man? Why you don't want to be called I'm assuming you don't want to be called neo-Nazis. I'm assuming that you don't want to be called, white supremacists. So why are you saying hail, which is a term that comes from royalty, right? Hail the king, but it was made popular. Hail Hitler, hail the Fuhrer, Heil, but hail, right? Those are royalty terms. Those are monarchical. Is that a word? Those are terms relating to a monarchy. Hail Trump, like he's our demagogue or something. Like he's, no. I'm not gonna hail Trump. Like, oh, Trump, our leader, let me bow down to him. No, I'm not doing that. That's not what our founding fathers fought for. They fought to get away from that stuff. Not to mention the fact that hail does, of course, have its historical roots, have its history in Nazi Germany with the Heil Hitler. And then, of course, you got a bunch of people doing the Nazi salutes. Now, let's just talk about Nazism for just a little bit, because I think this is important. Nazism is not a direct synonym for white supremacist. I think it's important that people remember that Nazism was not, Hitler didn't stand up and go, yes, you want to kill the Jews? Oh, you say yes, let's kill the Jews. It didn't work that way. There was anti-Semitism in Nazism. There was anti-Semitism outside of Nazism. Anti-Semitism was kind of a thing back then. So it wasn't like Nazism came along and made anti-Semitism popular again. No, they just gave it power. They gave it institutional political power. But the Nazis were about socialism, the Nazis were about nationalism primarily. And it was Hitler coming together, rallying the troops, so to speak, to bring about the restoration of the original glory of Germany. So, it's kind of, but to me, the Nazi salute is kind of like the Confederate flag. Yes, it represents something, and the easiest way to show it is to fly the flag or to do the Nazi symbol. But like the Confederate flag, when you do the Nazi symbol, all people see is white supremacy. And kill the Jews, screw the black people, authoritarianism is the best thing ever, Hitler did nothing wrong. And if you think that, you deserve none of my respect. I think I can leave that there.
No one will honor us for losing gracefully. No one mourns the great crimes committed against us.
Okay, don't know exactly what crimes he's talking about, But for those of you who would like to know, it's very interesting to note that recently Twitter has suspended, I think the number was 300 alt-right accounts because of prompting of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Ooh, that great institution. It's so wonderful. Meanwhile, the Muslim Brotherhood just got a blue check mark. So, yeah. Screw the alt-right, but let's keep the gay killers and the American haters. Let's keep them on Twitter. Because the Muslims. I mean, and who is upset that the alt-right is gone from Twitter? None of the left. And most of the right. No one's really upset. I'm upset because it's unfair. I don't care. Twitter can do what they want. Okay. That doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it a good thing. It doesn't make it right. And again, right, it's like Sargon of Akkad said in his This Week in Stupid. You are martyring these people. This is what you do. Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, which is the book that Sargon references, which he recommends that you should read, which, okay, great. I have another book to read. Thanks, Sargon. In the book, Saul Alinsky talks about Rules for Radicals. What you should do is basically when you have a group that is underprivileged, which, like the alt-right, the very small fringe group, jailing their leaders only encourages them because those leaders become martyrs and the people feel connected with those leaders. Hey, don't shun our people. You're giving them more power. Do you not? So when he talks about, that's what he's talking about. No one will mourn the crimes, and those are the crimes. So if you're like, what crimes is he talking about? I would call that a crime. I think if somebody suspended 300 libertarian or Christian or conservative accounts, I would say no one mourns the crimes done against us. That's what I would say in a speech, especially if I'm being a little emotional, inflammatory, hyperbolic as he is being in this speech on purpose.
For us, it is conquer or die.
Okay, right? This is where we get into the really, conquer or die. Oh, it's very dramatic language. This is horrible. This is terrible. Okay, step back for a second and understand the context, who he's talking to, and let's talk about I want to talk more about his language and the style of his speech in a minute because there's a couple more phrases that he says that I think really demonstrate the point better. But I just want to say, conquer and die. People are like, whoa, is he calling for a war or something? Like I can just imagine, because that's what went through my head. I'm like, wow, conquer and die, that's kind of dramatic. And then I went back and listened to the speech, and then I went back and listened to it again. This is my fourth time hearing the speech. He is talking about a culture war, an intellectual battle. And when he says conquer or die, he is using warrior imagery, metaphor, all that jazz, in the intellectual warfare. When it comes to intellectual warfare, that's how it works. It's a battle. It's a battle of ideas. It's a battle of culture or whatever. And it works there's only one rule. Conquer or die. Now, there are various ways to conquer. And, some of them are more ethical, more moral, and more successful than others, of course. Coercion and authoritarianism, I believe, are absolutely horrible, terrible ways to get your ideas to win. But if you're fighting a fair battle, if you're fighting a battle of ideas in the free market of ideas, you conquer or die. You either win or you perish. So again, right, here's the thing, is we've heard this over and over. Ooh, alt-right, white nationalism, neo-Nazi, white supremacist. And so it's like, I don't know about anybody else, but when I first watched the video, I had images of Nazi swastikas and, anti-Semitism and white supremacy in my head, and I had all these preconceived notions. And so the first time I heard his speech, I'm like, this is disgusting, this is terrible, this is the worst speech I've ever heard. How could anybody say these things? But when you sit back and you look at it and you realize, oh wait, no, most of this actually kind of makes sense. And I can understand why the people listening are like, yeah, I'm down with you, Mr. Spencer. I'm down with you. Because that's what this is, a war. you either fight and win, or you perish.
The mainstream media, or perhaps we should refer to them in the original German, Lügenpresse.
Lügenpresse, German meaning lying press. Pretty apt description. But why the German? Again, if you want to be a neo-Nazi white supremacist group, go ahead. But my understanding is that you don't want to be a neo-Nazi white supremacist group, and yet you're pulling so much of your inspiration from the Nazis. You know, the nationalist authoritarians who created arguably one of the worst governments in history. So, I mean, is this just a ruse? Because I think there are a lot of people in your movement who are legitimate authoritarian fascist Nazis, kill all the Jews, gas the black people. Does that not bother you that they're being attracted by this rhetoric? Because it disturbs me. Oh, no, we're not white supremacists. We're not white supremacists. That's false. Then why are you using so much Nazi inspirations? I don't get it. I don't get it. But yes, the press by and large has been lying about a lot of things this entire election. It's ridiculous why anybody would trust half the things they say. I'm almost tempted to watch the entire speech, because I don't even know, they could be completely misrepresenting everything he's saying by cutting and snipping his speech together to make it sound like the worst thing since, Hitler's first speech or whatever.
It's not just that they are leftist and cucks.
It has been established over and over and over again how left-leaning the vast majority of mainstream media organizations are. The Washington Post, the New York Times, the Huffington Magazine, The Guardian, which, is not a U.S. publication, but still is a good example, MSNBC, CNN, all these different mainstream media organizations, BuzzFeed, but they're left-leaning, they're leftists. They don't believe in conservative values or Republican platform, and some of them are so unashamed that they're... And it's bad enough that we all know what they believe and that they're unashamed and unabashed about it in their articles. But even in their news stories, they will pretend like all of the aspects of the left and the corruption and the collusion and the WikiLeaks that's just, we can't trust that. Holding that stuff is illegal. And, we've had so many examples coming out. We even had instances where, apparently, during the Obama election, something came out about his pastor was like some radical, some news coming out, and somebody leaked a conversation between a bunch of different journalists basically saying, okay, how can we make this look better for Obama? And somebody said, I've got it. Call somebody a racist. Just pick a Republican. Call him a racist. He doesn't even have to really be a racist. Just call him a racist and everybody will freak out about it. Not only demonstrating the media knows they have sway over the public, they can call Trump a homophobe and it'll stick, even though he's done, nothing homophobic. I don't understand why people get that. I suppose I understand people's complaints with his immigration thing, but that was misquoted out of context, just out the wazoo. But homophobic? Really? Now people are calling him a rapist? The mainstream media has been lying to us all this time. Now, as for the term cuck... Alright, kids, leave the room. The adults are talking. So, cuck originates from the term cuckold. This is for those of you who don't know, or you just would like a history lesson. A cuckold was essentially a man who knew or allowed his wife to sleep with multiple men. In those traditionalist, old-fashioned societies, this is just seen as a really weak husband, really weak leadership. And frankly, if your wife is sleeping around, what does that say about you? Now, in the porn age, cuck is really somebody who finds pleasure in watching other men sleep with his wife. And so when the alt-right calls leftists and Republicans and all them cucks, what they are saying is, you are finding pleasure in watching your country be destroyed. You have put your principles, you have put the values that matter at the foot of the bed, and have let emotionalism and have let the greater good, you've let all these other things come in and have their way with your country, and your values are over there. The values that matter, the principles that matter are over there, and you're finding pleasure in this. So when they call Republican leaders and Democrat leaders cucks, what they are saying is that these are people who are okay with their country being sabotaged, and they almost find pleasure in it. They get this perverse sense of pleasure out of it. And I might even incorporate that into my normal political dialogue, because I think that's a pretty good description of some leaders who have campaigned on X values, and then when they were in the presidential office, this happened with both Obama and Bush, by the way, they just threw their principles and the values out the window and did things that went against the Constitution, went against liberty, went against the better values of the American citizens in the interests of being a good politician and, getting reelected. It happens, it's happened, and it needs to stop. The cucks have to go.
It's not just that many are genuinely stupid. Indeed, one wonders if these people are people at all. Or instead soulless Gollum, animated by some dark power to repeat whatever talking point John Oliver stated the night before.
Okay, first off, I don't know how much influence John Oliver has in the left, but I presume he has a lot. One of the things I like about John Oliver is that there have been instances where it's a joke, it's a satire, and he tries to make things so serious and informative, and it's like it kind of topples on top of each other, because it's like it's so hard to follow the logic, because a joke pops up, and when you do follow the logic, it's sometimes he presents things that are so one-sided. Oh, you got the evidence? Maybe I'll do a video debunking John Oliver one of these days, or just how one-sided and emotionally charged it is, and how it's not a whole lot of logic, but he'll give you just a little bit of logic and top it off with a lot of emotionalism, and oh, but isn't this so bad? But now, to the one wonders if they're people at all, right? You're like, oh my word, this guy's kind of insane. Here's what I interpret that to mean. Is that these leftist talking heads, these pundits, the cucks, if you will, are just puppets. Are they people? Are they because you can only be human. You can only give up your principles and your values for you can only do that so much until you lose your ability to be a human anymore. You're no longer a human with a backbone. You're just this animated husk, this puppet in the hands of, I don't know, George Soros. Whatever. You're just a slave to an ideology, or you're a slave to talking points, right? Trump is a racist. Trump is a racist. We have to talk about how Trump is a racist. And you don't think for yourself. You've lost your ability to think for yourself because you're so sold out to the idea of being a media celebrity and a CNBC host that you have lost your ability, or you have made yourself forget the ability to think critically and to say, Trump, I don't hate him. You can't even imagine yourself saying that because he's right-wing, he's racist, he's homophobic, he's the worst. And you've lost your ability to be what it is to be a human, to look at somebody and say, look, okay, he's not perfect, he's not great, but maybe he has a point. No. Let's just call them racists and sexists and homophobes, and just keep repeating it. Just keep doing it. Just keep saying it. Just keep saying the same things over and over. Don't have any life. Don't have any disagreements or dissension or anything. Just keep parroting the same old stuff. Republicans are guilty of this as well. So guilty of it. These people, these pundits. Of course, we're going to focus on the left because I'm a bigger fan of the right than I am of the left. Conservative. Hi, how you doing? But everybody on every side does this. They lose their ability to be a human, and they just become a puppet, a slave to elitist forces, or they can become a slave to re-election, and they just give up all their principles and values and become a cuck. A soulless, animated husk, a slave to power and to greed. So, that's how I'll interpret that phrase. And I think that makes it sound a lot less crazy.
To be white is to be a striver, a crusader, an explorer, and a conqueror.
The hypocrisy of the left has never been more real than when they criticize this type of phrase. To be white is to... And they go, oh my gosh, that's racist, that's white supremacist. How many conferences and people have we had saying to be black means to be strong, to overcome, right? This is what it means to be black. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody raises an eyebrow. Nobody questions it. Everybody just goes, oh, that's the oppressed rising up. And then when the white person comes along and says to be white is to blah, 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 everybody loses their minds. This is national. This is neo-Nazism. This is white supremacy. No. This is simply what the black people have been doing for so long with a new face. A white person. Yeah, it doesn't sound so good when it's coming from a white person, does it? Yeah. Exactly. Hashtag Black Pride. Dozens of things come up. Hundreds of things. Hashtag White Pride. Everything's shadow banned. Because white pride is bad, but black pride is good, because white man, oppressor, black man, oppressed. You cannot live in a world with things like that. And that kind of a worldview is what lends the alt-right rising. It's what lends them... I mean, it's one of the reasons why they've risen up. I disagree. I think that it's not to be white. I think it's to be a human. To be Western is to conquer, to overcome, to crusade, to innovate. I don't think that's a white trait. I don't think it's because, I have white skin, so, clearly I can innovate. No, I think if you have black skin, or Asian skin, or whatever skin color you have, you can innovate. You can conquer. I think there is a particular dispensation to that when it comes to whiteness, and more importantly to Western culture. If you look at the history of Western civilization, it's all about white people innovating and growing and progressing and conquering, and enslaving people. That does happen. Sorry. Let's not forget that. But again, right, we can't just pretend like white people haven't been doing anything throughout history. Like, oh, no, you're right. All they've been doing is conquering and destroying, and nope. It's not true. The Industrial Revolution, the Enlightenment, pretty much almost every great philosopher that you will ever learn about, pretty much ever. Well, there's Confucius and there's Sun Tzu. I didn't say only white people. I said mostly white people, especially when it comes to Western civilization. I do think it's funny, though, that a lot of times we talk about Western. We don't ever focus a whole hay of a lot on Eastern civilizations. Like, my Eastern civilization history is pretty crap. But I disagree. This is why I'm not alt-right. This is why I don't like the alt-right, is their insistence, their emphasis on white. It's not white. It's Western. It's a culture thing. That's what I believe. So I'm a Western chauvinist. I think Western culture is the best. I think it's the best. Is it perfect? No. Can it be made better? Yes. Should we substitute it for something else? No. But I don't look at a black person and go, ugh, you can't be part of my culture. No, they can definitely be part of my culture. Definitely. And again, right, this is where I disagree with the alt-right. But, I mean, yeah, that's... Go Westernism. that horrible conclusion. Let's move on.
We build, we produce, we go upward. And we recognize the central lie of American race relations. We don't exploit other groups. We don't gain anything from their presence. They need us and not the other way around.
That's right!
And herein lies the problem. You see, for so long, the left has been saying, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're Islamophobic, you're xenophobic, you're this, you're that. And that's really been their big thing, their argument. When you stand up and you give an argument, I'm against transgenders in, transgender bathrooms or mixed bathrooms or whatever, they go, well, you're just transphobic. Right? It's the argument. It's just like, it's worked for them in most cases for so long that the alt-right stands up and says they say what he just said. They say that we don't need other races. They need us. We don't need them. And the left goes, you're racist. And they go, I don't care. And nothing. This is why the alt-right is so popular. Is they get right in the left's face and say, hey, guess what? White nationalism. And they go, oh my gosh, racist. And they go, I don't care. Oh my gosh, who cares? Right? And it's worked for them so well. They don't care. And, as a result, nobody really has an argument. There's no comprehensive argument. The alt-right has been allowed to fester in the dark corners saying these things that are pretty racist. And all people have said is, it's icky, it's racist. And that's it. That's been the extent of the argument. Nobody actually says, why? Why is what he's saying wrong? Why do we need diversity? Why? I mean, we've got all these groups. People are getting paid as a whole, millions of dollars, even billions of dollars are being poured into all kinds of diversity programs and educations all across North America. And nobody even explains why diversity is a good thing. Is it true that we need black people? I mean, if you look at it from the current situation, it kind of seems like the poor black people need the rich white people, because that's where they get their welfare from. I'm just saying. And so, I mean, what about what he said is wrong? It's icky. No. That's not what I said. What I said was, why is it wrong? And this is the problem, is nobody... I have nothing to say to that. It's icky. It's racist. I mean, that's really all I have to say. I don't like it. I think that this whole, what do we get out of the situation? You don't need us. We don't need you. I just think that's kind of gross, and I don't really like the fact that we draw barriers and lines based on the color of our skin. I mean, I'm okay with drawing barriers and lines based on cultures and attitudes. That's fine, because it's so much easier to do that. But to me, just to be like, oh, hey, you have light skin, so you're chill, welcome to the club. It's like, what? What? What about my white skin gives me any sort of thing that black people don't have? Right? But black supremacists say the same things. They go, oh, you are black, embrace your blackness. It's like, what the flip does that even mean? Oh, you mean black culture. No, but they'll say blackness and it's spiritual and you just need to accept it, girl. Oh my gosh. Leave. Please. Go back to wherever you came from. Go. If you love Africa so much, why don't you friggin' go live there? But again, what's wrong with what he's saying? I can't tell you. Not really. It's, well, diversity is healthy. And proof? Do we have proof? Because I heard from an alt-writer, I don't remember the name of the paper, but there's apparently scientific studies that show that diversity is actually bad for workplace productivity. We need to start developing arguments against the alt-right, or maybe we need to start reevaluating our thoughts about diversity. One or the other. But gone are the days of saying, it's icky, it's racist. That doesn't work anymore, and we really shouldn't have expected it to be a long-term solution. We are past that point. We have to start thinking.
Within the very blood in our veins as children of the sun lies the potential for greatness.
I know this video has probably gone on long enough, but this is the cool part for me, because I get to talk about the speech and I get to actually talk about the link. So right, the first time we watched the video, we're thinking nationalism, Nazism, anti-black, pro-white, white supremacy, right? Swastikas everywhere, and he's talking in like this weird medieval mythological type language. Like, what is going on inside of his head? Dark powers. What is this guy, insane? So he's using medieval, mythological, mystic language. Why? Because it captivates people. Why do you think they told mythologies in the first place? It captivated people. It got them excited. It made them feel like there was something greater to strive for. It's emotionally charged, exciting language. I mean, that phrase that he just said, go back and watch it. That's pretty. I kind of like that. That's pretty legit. I mean, I really like that phrase. And if you're thinking in this super negative context, it sounds really gross and disgusting. But it's him using this language to call for a higher purpose, to call for a higher standard, to conquer. You have power. You have authority within you. You are gifted. You are unique, right? And to top it all off, who else talks like this? Of all the political figures that you follow, who else talks like this? I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. My pastor, but he's not political, right? It's evoking that sort of, ooh, nobody else talks like this. Ooh, he's so mysterious. There's something about him. I like him, right? It's the mysteriousness and the mysticism of it and the uniqueness of his speech that makes him so attractive, because nobody else talks like this. I mean, I just thought that was a really interesting point. And again, right, it's like, ooh, it's so evil and dark. Well, actually, he's making appeals to traditional, old-style talk, I think. And it's sort of a preachy kind of style, a sermon kind of style, a call to power, a call to inner authority, sort of mythology-type power, and, again, a unique style of speech. All coming together to create a unique figure, and by extension, a unique movement.
That is the great struggle we are called to. We are not meant to live in shame and weakness and disgrace. We were not meant to beg for moral validation from some of the most despicable creatures to ever populate the planet.
Now, if he's talking about races, shame on him. He's a horrible human being, and he should go, go play in the road or something. But talking about most despicable human being. Now, look, again, right? Powerful language. We shouldn't have to beg for forgiveness, right? I don't know about you. I'm tired of mentally trying to beg forgiveness from the left. I'm sorry. I'll try and be less racist. I'll try and be less privileged. I'll try and be less homophobic. I'll try and be less this. Just am I ever going to be accepted by the left and by college professors and university people? I'm done. I've been done for a while. I don't have to beg for moral forgiveness from anybody. I stand for my principles. I stand for my values, and that should be enough. You want to talk about them? Cool. Let's go. But you're going to shame me and make me beg for moral forgiveness and beg for forgiveness of my sins? No. Go find a church if you want to do that. Go become a preacher. Actually change some lives instead of yelling and screaming and demonizing people. And again, the whole horrible creatures to walk the planet. I think some of the most despicable creatures to walk the planet have been authoritarians who have used their power for evil, and then authoritarians, and so leftists are on that list. Yes, the authoritative left, the people who hate the religious right, but have basically become just that. The people who have said, oh, we don't like the religious right because they're trying to force their morals on everybody, and then they turn around and try and force their morals on everybody else. No, I'm done. And it looks like the alt-right is done as well, and you wonder why they're so popular. Because they're done, and they're one of the few mainstream movements who is willing to say, we're done. And are completely immune to your, it's racist remarks.
We were meant to overcome all of it, because that is natural and normal for us.
Right, again, natural and normal for who? For you as a political movement, or for white people? Because it's not. That's natural and normal to overcome for human beings. That's a human characteristic. The color of your skin doesn't matter. So just, I mean, and this is the whole problem with the alt-right, is they want to make everything about white this and white that. And that's why I'm not alt-right. Because I don't believe white makes right. I don't believe that Jews are the worst people ever in the whole wide world and they should all be gassed and burned. I don't believe that black people are subhumans or black people are automatically stupider than white people. I think the reason why white people have a generally higher IQ than black people is because white people also generally are not as in much poverty as black people. And white people have a lot more dual parental homes than black people. The number of black people born to unwed single moms is astronomical. It's huge. It's growing. And the single greatest indicator of a healthy society and a healthy person is whether or not a mom and a dad are present. And so you can't look at the curve and say, oh, look, see, black people are stupider than white people. Is that because of inferior biology and natural stuff, or is that because black people have been screwed over by all the stupid welfare systems of the Democrats? Obviously, I think it's that one. I don't think blacks are inherently inferior to whites in any way. Except maybe the culture and the attitudes of the black ghettos and the ganglands. That is inferior, but it's not present in only black communities. Predominantly black, but white people who act like thugs and who promote gang culture and gangsterism and all that, they're inferior as well. The color of your skin makes no difference to me. It's a culture thing, it's an attitude and a values and a principles thing. That's where I stand.
The press has clearly decided to double down and wage war against the legitimacy of Trump and the continued existence of white America.
Yes, racist. Now, hold on. One of the key foundations of the alt-right is the idea of a white genocide. I hate the term white genocide because everybody thinks it's stupid, because the first thing people think of when they hear genocide is dead people in the streets. However, genocide can also refer to the death of culture and arts, right? The mass extinction of death and of arts and culture. So when they talk about a white genocide, they're basically talking about the left, through their moral benevolence, snuffing out white culture. It sounds kind of crazy. It sounds kind of insane until you listen to some of the mainstream things that people are saying about white culture and versus black culture and all these things. And for example, there's a Black History Month at a college. Basically, instead of it being about African Americans, it was about everybody except the white people, that is. I mean, it's really hard to say there's no white genocide, there's no white destruction of culture, when celebrating white people is seen as a terrible thing and celebrating black people is fantastic and amazing, even if those black people did some pretty bad stuff, like the founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, or excuse me, one of there's this woman, she wrote a book, and it's like a big deal. All the Black Lives Matter leaders are like, woo, this book is awesome. The woman who wrote that book is on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. Yeah. I mean, things like this, where it's like, oh, you're white, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Oh, you're white, well, your culture's inferior. It's really what it is. It's like, oh, he's white, so what does he matter? Oh, my word, he's black? We have to listen to what he has to say. That's what these people mean when they talk about a white genocide and destruction of white America. That, oh, you're white, you don't matter. You're normie. You're normal. You're insignificant. It's whatever. Oh, you're a black person? Oh, my word. I have to hear what you have to say. I have to listen to you. Unless you say things I don't like and then you're just an Uncle Tom. How'd the alt-right come to exist? It's not just all about racism. It's about people who say stupid stuff like, reverse racism doesn't exist. You're the problem.
But they are really opening up the door for us. America was, until this past generation, a white country designed for ourselves and our posterity.
And you lost me. I'm out. I'm gone. I don't want a white America designed for our posterity and our success. I want an America that will allow anybody who is willing to contribute to the betterment of society, who is willing to uphold liberty and life, and who is willing to promote good values and good ideas, and particularly conservative values, but who are willing to contribute and to help everybody succeed and to be a decent human being. I'm willing to let all those people participate and succeed. I don't want just white people to succeed. I don't want just black people to succeed. I want everybody to succeed. I want a meritocracy. I want people to succeed because they're good at what they do, and they try hard and they work hard. That's what I want. That's the America that I want. I don't want a white America. I want a human America. Not an authoritarian America. Not everybody gets, everybody gets the same wages, or everybody gets the same thing. There's no private property. Not a socialist America or a communist America or a fascist America. I want a liberty America. You want communism or fascism? Go make your own country. People have fought and died trying to get rid of that stuff. People have died just saying they want to get rid of it. I'll keep my liberty, thank you very much. And I'll share it with people of all colors, races, creeds, whatever.
It is our creation. It is our inheritance, and it belongs to us.
And we can't share it? I mean, even if what you're saying is true, why can't we share it? What? I don't understand, right? Again, this is ours, it's for white people, whites only. Like, yeah, no, here, I don't even know what to say. I just, no, this is not for whites only. This is not a white America. Go back from whatever hellhole you crawled from with language like that. Again, that whole bullcrap is why I'm not alt-right. It's really the only thing that's stopping me from being alt-right. And the anti-Semitism, and the general, I'm going to make edgelord jokes because they're cool. Just get out, leave. I apologize for the length of this video. The original video was only 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, and this video has ended up being, 40 plus long. I apologize for that. It's kind of a rant. It wasn't really structured. I didn't have any notes or anything. This is just based off, I basically pretty much had the whole day at work to think about this video and my response to it. And that was that, kind of. And I've had a lot of time to think about the alt-right. And so that I would kind of consider that sort of how I feel about the alt-right. You know, I will stand up for their right to say whatever they want. I will stand up for their right to be treated fairly in the marketplace of ideas. And I will stand up when somebody attacks them unfairly or mischaracterizes them. But again, you know, we're not white supremacists. We're not neo-Nazis. If the shoe fits, buddy, I'm sorry, but if the shoe fits, and gosh, I mean, you know, you can stretch your toe any way it likes, you can stretch your foot any way you like, but it sure looks like it fits, man. You know, I don't know, and it's rough, and but again, we're just giving way too much attention to these guys. But I think the main reason, it's not so much just that we're giving them attention, it's that we're giving them attention and saying they're icky. And then somebody goes, well, how icky? And then they go to an alt-right convention and they hear all these convincing arguments and things like this, and then they go to the left and the left goes, they're still icky. If we don't like the alt-right, and we really believe the alt-right is bad, we need to start formulating arguments and making them mainstream for why the alt-right is bad or why are they flawed, and not just, the alt-right's icky. That's never going to work. It's never worked. Saying blankety blank is icky has never worked anywhere in the history of time. Well, except maybe for Mitt Romney. He's icky. Binders full of women. Obama's black. Seemed to work for him, but maybe we're finally past those days. Maybe now we can move on to where we actually have to think about ideas and engage in the marketplace of ideas and battle them out and think and rationalize about these things. If that's the case, we're in for an exciting new era.